I found out that I have familial hypercholesterolemia after I'd had my first cardiac event. I thought it was a hot flash, the world's worst hot flash, and it turned out that it was indeed a heart attack. Cardiologist looked at me and said, "Look at you, you're fine, you're fit, you're cute, you're good, you don't have heart disease." Finally, after a very dramatic event, I had 4 arteries blocked at 90%. I was flatlining on the table, and I couldn't be stabilized. Thankfully, we were able to get in 2 stents that day. Went back, got 3 more stents put in. Then a friend of mine said, I know this woman down at UT Southwestern, and she's in the genetics division. Let's go talk to her. And it was then, and only then, that the words familial hypercholesterolemia came into the conversation. And it was then and only then that I learned that this was a familial disorder and that my children were at risk.
Familial hypercholesterolemia is an inherited disorder of cholesterol. There's massive underdiagnosis. Probably 1 in 5 people, 20% are diagnosed right now. So we have the possibility of 80% more diagnosis. So that is really critical, that the 1 in 500 number only tells us this is relatively common. It's not like rare as hen's teeth. You will see it if you're a physician. Every healthcare provider has the opportunity to make this diagnosis.
The face of FH, the face of heart disease, is not a 75-year-old man who's been smoking his whole life. The face of heart disease is me. It's the girl in the mirror. It's your mom. It's your sister. It's anyone that you see at the grocery store. You do not know what's inside that individual.
I see this a lot in young women, whether it's familial hypercholesterolemia or just young women with a strong family history of heart disease for other reasons, that there's underdiagnosis or underappreciation that yes, women can get heart disease, and at young ages, particularly if there is a familial or genetic component. There's many different ways to make this diagnosis. If you have a family history of heart disease, you definitely should be thinking about it. If you have high cholesterol, you should be thinking about it. And that's all we're asking, is for people to think about it. And obviously, the more you take a history about family members' cholesterol problems, and the more you take a history about family members and heart disease, the louder this thought process should go on.
With familial hypercholesterolemia, I have a genetic disorder, and odds are 50% chance that my children, or a 50% chance that a parent or a sibling, any blood relative, also is now under threat. So the familial piece has to be discussed not only at a individual's level, but that individual then must turn to its family and say, how may we each serve one another and protect each other from this disorder?
When you have a very high cholesterol level, you cannot have the same approach that you have to a usual patient with a little bit elevated cholesterol. It is not the same thing. These people have had this problem since birth. That has implications for when heart disease develops and how aggressive we need to be, and how when we look at cholesterol and make decisions about treating it, it's very different when you've been bathed in this since birth than if you developed it later in life in terms of your risk for heart disease.
A parent never wants the mantle of burden that comes with the awareness that you, just by being, have inflicted a possible death sentence on your child.
When my mom told me I had FH, she said the big word for it, and I didn't know what she was talking about until she was telling me that my cholesterol was high, and then I asked her if that was the FH stuff that she was talking about, and she said it was.
Christian's my champion. Christian is the reason I take my medicine every day. With Christian's diagnosis, I realized that not only do I have to take it to live strong and full for him, but I have to be a good example. He's become the most awesome example of what I should be doing right, and he doesn't allow me the excuses to not take my medicine, and so we do it together. And it's sort of a bonding thing, but that way I know he's taking his, he knows I'm taking mine, and we're living strong together.
If a patient is diagnosed with familial hypercholesterolemia, what they need to know are a few things. One is, this is treatable. You have to know that. 2 is, you're not alone. 1 in 500 people, this is common. Third thing is that you need to partner with a practitioner that understands the disease and will be willing to be aggressive in the management of it. fourth thing is, if you already have some symptoms that are all of a concern and you have this disease, we have to take those symptoms seriously. And the fifth thing, importantly, and this could move up to number 1 or 2 even, and that is you have an opportunity now with your family members, with your children, to help make the diagnosis and get treatment early in them.
Wait, it's backwards.
The blessing is you got the diagnosis. The blessing is there are so many wonderful things on the horizon that this is something that you no longer have to stand in fear of, but that you can embrace and move very strongly forward with, and it won't have to define you. It will simply be a part of the character, the part of the texture of who you are. And that's what I would say to somebody who's diagnosed today with FH is God bless, we got this. You're good. Let's walk together.